Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a DRED FX studio tour build on how I sort of did it. Now I've just had someone come across to the channel, hopefully he's a subscriber. If not, he'll probably subscribe after seeing this video. He's building a studio, his own studio, and wanted me to do like a studio tour on sort of how I did it. So I'm going to talk you through how I did it, how this studio started its life. Now originally this was a 16 by 10 shed with a sort of pitch roof, and it started its life off as I was doing landscaping. Before I did sort of anything like the sign industry and airbrushing, I was a landscaper. I had my own landscaping business, and I used to make things in this, what you see now, but was originally a shed. I'll pop some pictures up now. So this is what it looked like when it sort of died. These are the pictures. This is when I started to build into this. But I was building sort of like, I had my own trellis range with artwork inside it, and I was supplying companies with stuff that I made. Did the landscaping for a few years and then sort of moved into the sign industry, went down the sign industry route and then moved into airbrushing. So the studio that it is now started off as an old 16 by 10 shed. I built timber stuff in it, so it wasn't lined, it was just like plain boring shed with all like wood sawing equipment and stuff like that inside. Then I turned it into a cinema room, so it was all carpeted out, had a projector, had all the 5.1 surround cinema set up in it, and I used it as a little cinema room just to escape off up the garden, watch a film, things like that. And then I moved into like the airbrushing. And along this back wall here, I had a table no bigger than this. When I first started out, I had a little compressor like this. And all I had was like an overhead light that came over down here, little strip light. And I used to work under a strip light on the table, practicing. Started off with a H&S Focus and just came up to the top of the garden, plugged the light in, plugged the compressor in it, and I was just practicing airbrushing and practicing airbrushing. And then sort of like stripped it out and made it more of like a airbrushing sort of studio in the shed, sort of whited the walls, put a little extractor unit in, and sort of progressed on from there and just kept working and working and working, got a few jobs in, brought bits along the way as you do, different airbrushes and things. And then the studio, I'll put photos up now. This is when the roof caved in. The whole roof was leaking, so I was working in here, and if it was raining, there'd be water streaming in here. I had tarpaulins over the roof, because at the time, you have bills to pay. You can't afford to stick a roof on it. So I was just getting £20 tarps, sticking them over the roof. They'd last about a year, and then they'd sort of, the sun would kill them, and more rain would come in. Did a big job, earned quite a bit of money on a job that I did for somebody, and I thought, right, it's time to make the studio as it is now. Now, to build this studio off the existing walls of the shed, as you've seen in the pictures, it came to £1,100 all in. So everything in here, all built, was £1,100 in, just the build, without sort of these added features of like the bit here and other little bits, but they weren't dear, so I'll talk you through them. So the doors you see here, these are French double glazed doors. Now double glazed French doors can cost you something up to like £600–700. They were on Facebook sales for 50 quid. So I got the doors for 50 quid. I got this double glazed door here. I got that free. That was in a skip, and I was driving by someone's house, clocked that, knocked his door and says, "Can I have that out of your skip?" He went, "Yeah, take it." So I got that from a skip. I've got a window in that side, double glazed window with a top opening vent. That was free. And another double glazed door on the opposite side out there, and that one was free. So you can get these bits along the lines if you just keep your eye out and you're not in a rush to get your build complete. Just have a little drive by, always have a nose in a skip. You can just glance in, because someone else's rubbish is someone else's treasure. So they were out of like skips, that one, 50 quid for them. I plasterboarded it all, and I got some Celotex for free. I got the whole studio Celotexed for free in 100mm Celotex offcuts. Now I was getting offcuts anything from 3 foot high, 2 foot wide to 2 foot squares. I got absolutely loads of it for free, which was an absolute bargain because Celotex is so expensive. So I Celotex the whole studio, so it's 100mm Celotex all round. Overboarded the floor, because this was the original shed floor, which was in good condition at the time. So I overboarded this in 18mm OSB. And as you can see now, it's grey, and it's got a grey band around it. I put epoxy resin down. I put 5 litres of epoxy resin, poured it all over the floor, sealed the floor in epoxy, and then I just, if I get paint over this, I've got some industrial floor paint. I just give it a tosh over of industrial floor paint every couple of months, and it just keeps the studio floor nice and clean. Plasterboarded all round. Strip lights here, these are LED daylight strip lights, 2 6-foot ones off Amazon. These are about, I think they're about 27 quid each. I've replaced that one. That one started to flicker, so that one's been replaced, but they've lasted 2-3 years, and these are like permanently on. I've got a light here. This is another really good little bargain, guys. These are 24 quid on Amazon, and these are a 600 square LED light, and that's what you usually see me working on when I'm doing portraits and stuff. I have that mounted to this grid system. Now I'll talk you through this on how the filtration system works in here. Where you've got the main struts going across, the eaves going across, these are, I think these are 6 by 2 timbers, 2 feet apart all the way along. Now this centre section here, there is no Celotex in this centre section here, but I've put you get the insulation on a roll. So I've rolled insulationed the tops of this. I've got a big gap. I've got at least a 6-inch gap along here, and all these channels of the roof have got vents that go from the front overhang this side up here, and there's an overhang on the back side of the shed. There's vents that go through, and this has an air channel running through here. These you can undo, and you can fold these down to take the filters out. So when you put the extractor on, there's 2 extractors in there. There's a big cabinet behind that, and there's then like charcoal filters for smell, and then you've got this one here which grabs your paint, and then you've got your filters there, and then the ducting that comes all out behind that. So it pulls fresh air in from the eaves outside, brings the fresh air in down, and then pulls it that way out there. And I've also got that filter that I've just changed, because I had a filter in the bottom of the door. So I've got that one, so if I need more airflow coming in, I can open the window in that room in there, and that can draw fresh air through here and just pulls across and just gives it a little bit more pull if I need to, because there's two extractor units in here now. There's a 16-inch one, and then there's like a turbine one at the bottom, so I can change which one I want. So if I'm airbrushing, I'll have the 16-inch going, and that just pulls nice, and then if I want to really pull some air through, I can just drop the other one underneath, and that just draws more airflow through the studio. So it's always nice and fresh. When I'm spraying, I'll just have the extractor running. Now if I've painted something and I want to dry it off, because I noticed in the winter, this is Celotex, it holds the heat. In the summer it reflects the heat, so it stays nice and cool in here because you've got the Celotex in the roof. But in the winter, if I want to warm the studio up, this piece on the wall here, this is like a 4-inch duct that goes through, and then there's a aluminium cabinet that's bolted to the outside of the wall, and that's got a 8 kilowatt diesel heater in it. I've got the diesel tank inside this room mounted to the wall, 10-litre diesel tank, and then I've got a thermostat in that side of the room, because usually you'd have your thermostat sort of in the room where you've got your heat. So once it reaches the temperature, it sort of cuts itself off. But I put the thermostat in that side of the room so I can keep the temperature rising up in here. So I'll just keep pumping out hot air in here. So if I need to dry anything down, I can just crank it up, and it'll keep getting nice and hot in this side, and I can turn it down in that side. This bit here, I used to have on the walls, I used to have like the airbrushes on this wall, but then I was always getting overspray over them. So this was a glass panel, and this is on the channel, guys, how I built this. This is shadow foam, so it's like a big piece of foam that's multi-layered. So you've got probably 8 or 9 different layers of foam, and they're all glued together. And what you do is you lay the brushes on, scalpel round them, and then you pick the layers of foam out, and then you can just get the shape of your brush like that, and just pop your brush in, and all the brushes sit in there, and then I can just sort of close that off when I'm spraying, and you don't get any overspray over the brushes. So I made that into the glass window, then built a shelf, got a rack and a little shelf for papers, cleaning products, tack rags and gloves, a little shelf there just to put paints on. Same this side, I built like a little cabinet shelf here that stores racks of paint, and then you've got an extension lead reel that goes inside there. So if I'm doing any sanding, I can just reel that out, and I've got like power in this side. Instead of having sockets on the wall in here, I can just reel that out and plug stuff in. This piece here, you usually see this where I'm working it in front of it as an easel. I'll pop some pictures up now. So I built these pictures now before it was all painted, so you can see the easel that you can make out of that. You can also turn it into a table that goes against the wall. So when I do like one-to-one classes in here, if you want to come over for an airbrush class, you can both, me and the student can sit either side and do like a paint on a class, nice and easy. And I can set up dual air lines as well, because we've got the air lines running in here. Got your main big air line for spray guns, and then I can split that off for double airbrushes or whatever, and I've got a separate airbrush arm that I can turn on and off here. That runs out to a 150 litre compressor. That's got its own cabinet outside, which is all insulated and soundproofed, so when you turn the compressor on, if you're at the top of the house, you can't even hear it running, so it's nice and quiet. So that's on that side. I think that's covered everything in here. Got built-in speakers in the ceiling. I put these in. These are just a pair of car speakers. I made them into boxes, mounted them into the eaves of the ceiling, put some grids over the front, and then they're Bluetooth linked to a Bluetooth amplifier in that side, so I can play through my phone, which is on here. I can also plug the phone in here, charge it up, have it on that little shelf. Thermometer to keep the temp, see what the temp's like in the studio. It's 19.9 C at the minute, and it will stay like that all through the night, so it does stay nice and warm in here. When the sun comes up and comes over the top, it comes across the top here, heats up, and it just stays really nice and warm. So that's this side. We'll move into that side and I'll talk you through that side. Not so much light in here, guys, because I don't really need a light in here, because I just know where everything is. I can just come in here with my eyes shut, put my hand out, and I know where everything is. So we've got 2 cabinets. These have got sensor lights in them. So you've got like custom paint range, clear coats, different plastic primers, high build primers in cans and things like that. Then you've got this cabinet here with all different sorts of paints, metallics, pearls, primers, epoxies and things like that, storage in there. Above that is more storage for pens, different varnishes, all sort of airbrush type stuff, and then like little workspace, cleaning products, flakes, little gun cleaning machine thing I made where you can soak your guns, spray guns to the top. And that's the window that was originally a view window outside there, but I put the shadow film on the back of it. Then you've got magazine features that I've been in. So we've got Scootering magazine, Mini World there, Custom Culture, that one there. So that's just sort of memorabilia of the stuff that I've been in. But this room is about 3 feet, probably about 4 feet wide, 3-4 feet wide by 10 feet in depth, but it's absolutely perfect. Everything's to hand in here. Made a little rack thing on the wall, so don't use that door there, the door's sealed and locked off. I just put some bars across, and then we can just put all stuff like the Versiflow masks and things like that to this side. So it all sort of works, guys. I know where everything is. Nice little space for storage. and it just gets the job done. So we'll move back into that side. So there you go. I hope this has helped. Hopefully the subscriber, hopefully you subscribe now. Hopefully it sort of helped you out on your studio build, seeing what I've done in here. This works really well, guys. It really does. Absolutely spot on. As I say, if you're building a studio for painting and airbrushing, first off, I would say make sure you get it insulated. Definitely insulated first, because if you're in it in the winter, there's nothing worse. If you're sitting in a cold shed, I've been there and done that, guys, when this was an original shed. I know it costs money, but I started off like that and it was an absolute nightmare sitting in against this wall here with a thick coat around you and a little like candle light, and you're trying to paint. Nothing worse. Get it insulated the best you can. A little bit of heat. Diesel heater recommended, guys. Diesel heaters, they're brilliant. They run nice and cheap, not expensive. Stick the diesel heater on, running, good to go. Insulated, lighting as well. LED daylight bulbs, guys, are brilliant for studio. Nice and bright. These ones here, nice and cheap, £24 on Amazon for the square. If you have a couple of them in your studio, they're more than bright enough to light a studio up sort of 10 feet by 11 feet size. I mean, this is nice and bright in here. And that's what it's about. You need it nice and bright, especially when you're working and airbrushing. So they're the sort of bits. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget, if you are new to the channel and you are liking the content, click that subscribe, press that notification, drop your comments, tell me what you think of the studio build. It is done on a budget. And as I say, pick bits off of Facebook sales and things like that. So thanks again. Cheers, guys.